She looked me straight in the eyes and chose money over me. Get out, my own sister said. Money doesn't make you family. I left without a word, but what she didn't know was, I wasn't coming back the same. Disclaimer: this story is purely fictional and created for entertainment purposes only. Any resemblance to real people, events, or situations is purely coincidental. The content is not intended to promote harm, but to share a dramatic narrative experience. I remember the exact moment my life changed. The slam of the door behind me was like the echo of years of pain and misunderstanding, finally catching up. Zara, my sister, looked me dead in the eye, and her voice was cold and sharp, words I never thought I would hear from someone I grew up with. Get out. Money doesn't make you family, she said, and in that instant, everything I thought I knew about home, about family, came crashing down. I stood there, frozen, holding the small envelope I had brought with me. The one containing the bank draft I had saved over 10 years of working abroad. It was meant to be a gesture of reconciliation, a symbol that I had worked hard to come back and help, to show my love and dedication to my family. But instead of warmth or gratitude, I was met with disdain, like a stranger at the doorstep of my own life. I hadn't always been the successful one. 10 years ago, I was the one everyone doubted, the one who failed exams, couldn't find a job, and constantly felt the sting of whispers calling me useless. Zara was the pride of the family then, the golden child, perfect in every way, always confident, always right. Her approval had always been out of reach, her smile reserved for achievements I couldn't match. When I got the opportunity to work overseas, no one believed I would survive the harsh reality of life in a foreign land. Not even Zara. She had said then, "Don't embarrass us," and I left quietly, without argument, carrying only my resolve and a quiet hope that one day I would prove myself. The years abroad were grueling. Long hours, cramped living conditions, skipped meals, and endless work. All of it was a test of patience and perseverance. But each time I felt I couldn't go on, I reminded myself why I was doing it. This wasn't just about money. This was about proving that I could rise above the circumstances and that someday my family would recognize what I had become. Slowly, painstakingly, I built a life. What began as small trades evolved into business ventures, and eventually, I had enough to make a difference in our family's life, to make amends, to return home not as the failure they remembered, but as someone capable and strong. When I finally returned, everything had changed. The house looked renovated, larger, and intimidating in its perfection. A new car gleamed in the driveway. But Zara, standing at the door, wasn't the sister I remembered. She seemed colder, more distant, and her gaze was sharp with suspicion and irritation rather than joy at my return. I brought the envelope forward, my heart pounding, and offered it as a gesture of goodwill. "It's for the house, and for you," I said, expecting maybe a faint smile or some acknowledgement. Instead, she stared at me as if I had committed some unthinkable crime. Her narrow eyes conveyed disbelief and contempt. "So now you think you can buy your way back?" she snapped. And in that instant, I realized she hadn't changed just emotionally. Her worldview had hardened, her heart seemingly closed. I tried to explain, my voice quiet but earnest. "I did this for us." She laughed at me, a bitter, hollow sound that seemed to echo through the empty rooms. Then came the sentence that would haunt me for years. "Get out. Money doesn't make you family." Those words, so simple yet so sharp, cut deeper than any argument, any fight we had ever had. I didn't argue, I didn't shout, I didn't even beg. I walked out quietly, letting the door close behind me, feeling the weight of rejection heavier than any failure I had ever faced. But as I stood outside, the air cold against my skin, something didn't sit right. There was more to Zara's anger than met the eye, more than a reaction to my absence or my success. I stayed in the city that night, not because I wanted revenge, but because I needed answers. Slowly, carefully, I started asking questions, piecing together fragments from neighbors, friends, and distant relatives. What I uncovered was shocking. My parents weren't in the renovated house, enjoying the life Zara had created for herself. They'd been moved months ago to a small, neglected apartment across town. Zara, the sister who once championed family above all else, had pushed them aside to create her version of success. The new life she had built was not entirely her own. It was fueled by debts, loans, and carefully orchestrated deception. Her confidence, her power, her control, it all had cracks. Weaknesses she didn't notice because she assumed no one would ever come back to challenge her. Seeing my parents, aged and tired in their modest apartment, was harder than anything I had imagined. Their surprise at seeing me was quickly replaced by tears and quiet smiles, but neither of them blamed Zara openly. Their restraint hurt me more than anything else. I realized then that confronting her directly, with anger or shouting, wouldn't accomplish anything. This wasn't about vengeance for the sake of revenge. It was about justice, restoring what had been wrongfully taken, and proving that respect, integrity, and truth mattered more than the illusions Zara had built. I began a methodical plan, not out of hatred, but from a need to set things right. I uncovered debts, documents, and legal loopholes that Zara had exploited. She had assumed her control was unassailable, but she underestimated my patience, my resolve, and the quiet determination that had carried me through years of hardship. Piece by piece, I reclaimed what had been lost. I bought debts through intermediaries, carefully maneuvering to shift the balance of power back into my hands. Zara never suspected. Each transaction, each quiet move, brought me closer to the moment when the truth would reveal itself in the most undeniable way, the reclaiming of our childhood home. The house where I had grown up, where I had been cast out, would eventually become a symbol of the reckoning. A place where the illusion of power and entitlement would be confronted with the quiet force of justice. Sometimes the people we love the most can hurt us the deepest, but this story proves that patience, persistence, and doing what's right can restore balance without losing your own dignity. Revenge doesn't always have to be loud or violent. It can be quiet, calculated, and just. If you were captivated by this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life drama and emotional stories that keep you on the edge of your seat. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new story.